So earlier this morning, I was reading this book called the Upanishads. This is a 3,000-year-old book. I mean, the knowledge in this book is 3,000 years old. Ancient Hindu yogic teachings. And in it, it says, meditation here is not reflection or any other kind of discursive thinking. It is pure concentration, training the mind to dwell on an interior focus without wandering until it becomes absorbed in the object of its contemplation. So the yogis, the ancient yogis, they believed that there was three main states, but also a fourth state of functioning. There is what's known as awakening, awakened reality. There is dream sleep and dreamless sleep. But then the fourth is called Turiya, which is the highest state, which is beyond dreamless sleep. It's when you become so awakened within reality, you become super conscious. And the only way to reach that state is through passing through the three stages of meditation. There is dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Samadhi is the state of turiya, where you wake up to that highest state of reality. So the way it could be described is when you wake up in a dream, you realize you can control it, right? A dream has a beginning and an end. But this awakened reality also has a beginning and an end. So in that sense, what's the main difference between a dream and awakened reality? It's just a different layer of reality. But what happens when you wake up in reality like you would wake up in a dream? That is when true freedom occurs, when you start to realize, hold on, this is a character in this reality. So through meditation, through dharana, which is concentration, it begins first at its initial stages through contemplation on one object. This could be your breath, this could be on a chant, this could be on a singular point that you put in the wall or staring at a candle flame, whatever it is. You begin with concentration, or it could be concentration on that awareness that is beyond, that is watching, the witness. And then through concentration, a natural state occurs called dhyana, which is meditation, when all thoughts start to cease and you start to become one with that object. And as you go even deeper and deeper into meditation, you get glimpses into samadhi. Okay? And there's also different types of samadhi, which I won't get into in this video, but when you get into samadhi, it's a state, a glimpse of enlightenment. You get a state of complete bliss when everything else disappears. All of your sensory functions, they kind of operate in the background, and that true state of awareness that is beyond all, the turiya, the state of pure, unadulterated awareness, that becomes the foreground. So if you look at your life right now, there is a state of awareness, but it's in the background, because in the foreground are your senses. The senses that we're using to perceive physical reality. You know, I'm very, very mindful or conscious of my body. I'm very, very mindful and conscious of what's happening in my environment. I'm living in a lower state, a survival state right now. But when I meditate and get to that point of dhyana and samadhi, what happens is the thing that's in the background, the awareness that's in the background, the one that's watching. So you and I can do this right now. You can simply watch your thought that's occurring or this moment, and you can realize that there is a watching of that. There is an observer and a witness that's watching that. Who is the knower? Who is watching? Who is beyond this thought, this feeling? There exists this I am, this sense of I am, that there is existence. And that sense of I am always was, is, and always will be. That is that sense that scientists, they call it the Big Bang. Because when you go back to the Big Bang, before the Big Bang, there was no sense of time. Time and space did not exist, right? There was no space-time because that wasn't even a concept. But when the Big Bang occurred, that event occurred, that marked the beginning of space-time. So just like that, when we disappear into awareness, time ceases to exist, our sensory perceptions cease to exist. In a way, we become united to that state before the Big Bang. We go beyond duality. The Big Bang and that super condensed atom where, you know, gravity and none of the nuclear forces existed, at that point, that's where duality just did not exist. There is only oneness, singularity, and wholeness. So when you tap into that state of awareness and you see and you connect with that I am, this sense of I am, you directly become one with that state of being. So that is the goal of meditation. But to begin with, that's like a lifelong goal of very serious spiritual seekers who've spent their whole lives in the Himalayas trying to get a glimpse of the ultimate, right? Because all of us, we are infinite beings. We're trying to seek infinity in finite things. We're trying to seek it in wealth. 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, what's next, what's next, what's next, what's more? We're trying to accumulate finite when our thirst is for the infinite. And that's why when you read Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, it begins with, and now, yoga. Because you've tried the drinks, you've tried money, you've tried success, you've tried fame, and nothing fulfilled that unending thirst within you. And so now you look for the thing that will unite you with the ultimate, the thing that you've been looking for your whole life. And so meditation is actually just the beginning part and the end part that will lead you to that. One thing I've always wondered too is, why don't more people know about this? Why haven't we been taught this in schools or education systems or by our parents? The truth about that is, it doesn't pay, right? Our material world is focused on external objects and gaining social status and things that are more finite. Somewhere along the way, a vast amount of knowledge has been lost, and people have been focused on this scarce competition mindset of being better than someone else, of outdoing their peers or keeping up with the Joneses. Because of this attitude and this mindset, everything has been tailored and optimized for profit. All the food companies, they're trying to put preservatives and make food as cheap as possible to keep you addicted. Big pharma, I won't go into that. Big medicine, whatever, Unfortunately, it's just aligned to extracting as much profits as possible so people can get as rich as possible, and they can show, look at me, I'm richer than you, I'm better than you, I'm infinite, right? It's just, the ancient yogis call this Maya, the illusion of life. We don't know any longer, we don't know what's beyond this physical realm, about the infinite internal realm. And so the select few who have tried to preach this message in the past, at least I think there has been a great awakening in the 70s, but prior to that, the focus has been solely even more external, and now we're fluctuating back and forth. I think we're in a very good time right now where people are starting to seek within, because economically we're good. This typically happens within societies, by the way. There's always a great upheaval and then a downfall, and an upheaval and a downfall, and a rise and a fall, rise and a fall. And there's 4 cycles in yoga called the yugas. If you look at our planet, the Earth, it orbits the sun. There's a point in which the orbit isn't perfectly circular. It's elliptical. There's a point at which it becomes closest to the sun, and there's a point at which it goes further away from the sun. Just like that, our galaxy is orbiting a bigger star in the middle. There's a point, hundreds of thousands of years perhaps, where it becomes very, very close to that central galaxy, and there's a point where it gets even further away from that central galaxy. At the furthest point, they call this the dark yuga. That's when we get away the furthest from the truth, and that's when all the demons and the devils, they all succeed. And then when we get the closest to it, people become enlightened just like that. They think about something and manifest it into existence immediately, right? Like human beings or intelligent beings, UFOs, whatever you want to call them, they become very, very intelligent, and life forms become very, very intelligent at that point. But we fluctuate between that. One theory why people don't know this connection is because we're in that middle period, from going from that period of darkness to coming to the period of light. And I believe if you look it up right now, we're actually going closer and closer towards the period of the truth, the Satya. I think it's called the Satya Yuga. A lot of people don't know it's because our focus has been on external material gain rather than internal wealth. In order to get the most direct path to connecting with that watchful awareness, the Turiya state, waking up to it, what needs to happen is a simple, committed daily meditation practice. This could be as little as 15 minutes or as long as an hour, whatever you want to do. I recommend starting with at least 15 minutes. You don't need any kind of crazy stuff. Now, one misconception about meditation or connecting with this awareness state is people try to chase an experience or a high. Like, oh, I'm going to take some shrooms and get high and like see this cool thing and do this breathing exercise. The truth isn't about chasing experience. It is about going beyond experience. If you look at the true adherence to this path, the path of jnani, you'll notice they're no longer interested in one more experience, because that too is somewhat material, though subtle. You're not trying to get an experience. And even the great sages of all time, like the Buddha, he was no longer interested in experiencing a high. He even said when he went to states of samadhi, and this gives me chills every time, he said, this is not it. This is great, but this is not it. This too is not the ultimate. And he went deeper and deeper in 40 days and 40 nights until he reached the ultimate, the state that is beyond all, the state that is permanent and you can never escape it. Once you tap into it, there is no escaping it. And that state is beyond all experience that you can accumulate. So all the ayahuasca and mushrooms that you do, you haven't accessed that state internally and organically, right? It's become more of a forceful accessing of that state. And because of that, because you're not ready to receive that kind of energy, you can't stay in it permanently. So a lot of people I speak to who've done ayahuasca and who've done mushrooms and other kind of hallucinogenic substances, they can't really they're like, oh, it was great, but that was it. It hasn't brought them any continued benefit that I know of, that they can talk of highly in their lives. And so what I've noticed is my spiritual growth hasn't been explosive. It's actually been very, very gradual. I've grown gradually in consciousness, and that's typically how it happens. You grow in a very boring way, but then one day you look back, you're like, holy shit, it's actually compounded. Like where I was and what I was thinking and how I was a year ago, 6 months ago, it is completely different to how I feel now. The method that I recommend all of my clients is you simply take a stopwatch or a timer, sit on the floor, cross-legged, or on a comfortable chair with your back erect, your spine erect, and you just watch your breathing. Set a timer for 15 minutes, watch your breathing. Watch the in-breath and watch the out-breath. And just watch it for 15 minutes. Whenever your mind wanders, return it back to this. Concentrate on this. Train your concentration. Nowadays, you get a lot of cases of ADHD, ADD. Why? No one has been taught how to concentrate. We don't get taught how to concentrate. Like no one teaches you in school how to actually concentrate. You don't get trained in this skill. So the more you train in this skill, the more you can cut through all of the distractions of life. Because let's face it, right now, there's so many distractions out there. Social media is, all these companies are vying for your attention because they can monetize your attention. The more you listen to all this stuff and the advertising, the consumerism, buy, accumulate, the more you become susceptible, your attention gets sucked into it and they control you. That's how they control you, with your attention. And so to wake up to this truth of this internal wealth, this internal reality, this whole new reality, a simple act of watching your breath daily for 15 minutes is going to change your life. And you'll see how this evolves. And when the time comes for it to evolve into the next step, you will be presented the steps internally to help you make that transition. Because it's kind of like you getting really, really good at one activity. You could be playing the guitar, or you could be golfing, like your golf swing. If you keep swinging it enough, you will figure it out. Like if you keep lifting or you keep doing a push-up, you will find a way, your body will find a way to do more reps. So that inner intelligence, it's already there. It's just lying dormant, waiting to be activated. So keep consistent to your own meditation practice, or your sadhana, as the yogis would call it. And over time, it will evolve, and you'll see how it evolves into the next step and the next step and the next step. And you start to notice this watchful awareness. For me right now, even as I'm speaking, there is that sense of self, that I, the witness, it's always present. It's always there. It's in the foreground now. The words that are coming out right now, they are being watched. Everything's that's happening in the environment, they're all being watched. They're in the background. So I recently made a video on a process called self-inquiry. And this process is what allows you to get deeper and deeper into that state of boundless awareness. I believe it's a 3 to 4 step meditation. So I'll link it right here. You can click here to access the full video. If you're going to watch it, please make sure you have no distractions and you're fully focused. You have 15 minutes to spare. And I promise you it's going to be the best 15 minutes of your life. So click right here to access it right now.